Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tiny Blue Games. My name, of course, is Seesaw Chris, and today we're talking about Guild Wars 2. And more specifically, we're talking about PvP, which is a very fun topic. Right now, we're between seasons 5 and 6, and in this sort of between stage, I like to look at new builds I could play in the next season and just experiment with different builds. Now, with the balance patch that happened on May 16th, I believe, we had some interesting developments for Tempests, or for Elementalists, and specifically condition Elementalists. Now, usually in PvP, Elementalists are supportive at this moment. They tend to heal their teammates, but I've always been wanting to bring back more of a spike damage, condition damage Elementalist back into my gameplay, and I think the changes they made in this balance patch might allow me to do that. Now, what specifically changed is Arcane Power now applies to 4 other members around you, so 5 including yourself, much like Venoms do, and they will apply burns as if they're your burns, and this can really help and make some very spiky damage. This, with other burn techniques we have, makes for a very fun build. The most interesting part of this build, though, is the fact that we are not running Tempest. That's right, we're running just pure Fire, Arcane, and Earth, no Tempest, so free-to-play players can play this build, and I think that's a very important selling feature of the build itself. So let's go through what the build does, and then I'll show you very quickly how it can be used to burst. Or do we want to do it right now? You know what, we're going to do the bursting right now just because there's no one here, and I don't want someone to like show up. So, and it's just more exciting that way. We'll summon our Fire Elemental. Now, you don't always have to do this because it's not going to be off cooldown all the time. At the start of fights, you're going to want to put your Arcane Power on as many people as possible. It does apply to your Fire Elemental, so if you're off by yourself at a certain point, that's a great thing to do. And then you also want to put Glyph of Elemental Power on early on. And then you're going to burst it up. Alright, so you can see here, we've spiked a huge amount of damage right away. And we're able to keep up a fair bit of damage. Now, it's also important to realize that this spike of damage is only with me and my Fire Elemental getting the Arcane Power. It'll actually go up a lot more when we have 3 other people get the power. So, for instance, think as when a game's starting, in the like 10 seconds before the game, you can put this on all 5 of your teammates, and the people going to center are all going to be attacking the same target. You can destroy someone in seconds. And I'll try to get some footage of that on my channel eventually, because it is a very fun way to start a game. So I think that shows you how much damage you can do very quickly. And it's a very powerful build for doing damage. Now, we've taken the Scepter as opposed to the Dagger, so we can have some more long-range play. And then we take the Focus as well for some more long-range play. Because although we're not glass, I'll show you in our traits how we're fairly tanky for an Elementalist, but we do like to stay away and just damage our foes from afar. And actually, the number 1 on the Scepter, the Flame Strike, is perhaps your best attack for this, because it's a very stealthy attack that many people who are getting attacked by don't even know where the damage is coming from. And in this, with our Glyph of Elemental Power and Arcane Power, we'll put on a huge amount of burns without even really giving our position away. And Signet of Fire also can be used without really being seen as well. So you can do a lot of stealth damage with this too, or just some long-range distance that people can't do anything about. So let's take a look at the build. Before we get into the traits, let's look at the weapons and runes and sigils. So we're going to be taking a Scepter and a Focus. This could be altered to whatever weapons you think would work best, but I choose these mostly as they tend to work the best for me. We take Sigil of Smoldering. We're trying to get our burn duration to as high as possible. And it's very nice too, because we only use burns. We only have to focus on that, and you can actually bring your condition damage up to 100% for burning, which you're not usually able to do in PvP. So this makes it a very lethal build. And then we take Sigil of Compounding. We deal 1% extra damage for condition on your foe. I'm not really... I don't know. You do some damage. I haven't found another sigil I like. This one could definitely be replaced. I've been experimenting with some of their new sigils they've added, so that's why I've taken this one, but I'm not as sold on that. The Sigil of Smoldering is by far the one that you need to make sure you have on one of your weapons. We take the Rune of Balthazar. This is an incredible amount of condition damage and burn duration. which really helps us get to 100% burn duration. And then we take the Wanderer Amulet. This gives us some condition damage, some expertise to top off our burn duration, and gives us a bit of toughness. Now, you could take other amulets. The most important thing you're looking for is obviously condition damage. A little bit of expertise would be good. And then really, you don't need precision or power all that much. Precision's better than power because you do have a chance to burn on critical hits. And your power, I mean, realistically, you're going to do some damage, I guess, with like the Phoenix and the Tooth. But we're really going for condition damage here. So prioritize precision over power. But over both of those, I'd try to get toughness, healing, or vitality into your build just to get a bit more survivability. So finally, looking at our specialization here, we take fire. We're going to take cleansing fire for more condition removal and a chance to burn when we get too many conditions on us. We're going to take pyromancer's training to deal more damage while we're attuned to fire and reduce the recharge of our fire weapon skills. This is important because we're pretty much going to be camping fire while we're doing damage, and then we will switch to some of our other utilities for interrupts and more survivability play, and we'll talk about that after I go through these traits. We take blinding ashes as a very passive way to mitigate some of the damage that's coming in at us, especially from more of a power build. For arcane, we take skills have a chance to apply condition on critical hits. This is very good. We talked about how we prioritize precision over power. This is one of the reasons. We take arcane shield. Create an arcane shield when your health is below 50%. This is very important for builds that are going to try and burst you down. So if you're getting like just destroyed by a thief, it'll give you arcane shield to give you a few seconds to either stun them, figure out where you're going to run, or light them up with Condi damage so that you burn them down first. And then finally, we take Elemental Surge. Based on your human arcane skills, inflict condition damage to foes. This is a required skill to make the arcane power work. It's very important, and it is just super fun, so I would take it. And then finally, we go to Earth. We take Armored Earth. Gain Armored Earth whenever your health drops below 50%. This helps you to get out as well. Very defensive. In fact, we're able to take Earth for a lot of defensive abilities instead of the Tempest. If you do have Heart of Thorns, you can run Tempest instead of Earth. It gives you the, where you can do the attunements. So you can do your Flame Tornado when you overpower your attunements. And that's pretty good as it allows you to put some more burns on, but it does force you to get into melee contact with the enemies, and that's very bad in terms of survivability for elementalists. So I actually do prefer running the Earth even with Heart of Thorns purchased. We take the Strength of Stone, gain condition damage based on your toughness. This is a pretty good one. It would be very good if you could get a bit more toughness into the build. So that's kind of one of the reasons we try to prioritize toughness over even vitality or healing power. In fact, I wouldn't prioritize healing power just as there's very little healing to be done in the build. And then finally, we take Diamond Skin, remove conditions when you're struck by them when your health is above 75%. This is actually becoming more of an important skill in PvP at the moment, as we have a lot of builds that are very pure condition damage builds and won't have the power to burst you down past 75%. For instance, if you were going against this Elementalist and they decided to light you up right at the start, if you had this skill, you could save so much damage from being applied to you. It's insane. So this is what I tend to run. Like I said, you could switch out Earth for Tempest. I think that would be the easiest way you could modify it if you wanted to, but I do run Earth. Now, looking at some of the skills, we talked about how we have the Scepter, very important for long-range damage, but it's also extremely good for CC. So we have, a bit of freezing we can apply to get chilled. We have a Comet, which will give it daze. We have the Gale, which is a knockdown. We have Blind, a very quick blind that we can add if we're trying to run away from people. And then we have Projectile Destruction, or Reflection even, for... destroys projectiles, sorry. It just destroys them. But very good for being in mid and just defending yourselves and your group for a bit. And then finally in Earth we have our Magnetic Wave. We've got a Blind once again. And if you really want a very powerful entrance, you can actually pop this while you're waiting for your match to start. And it'll give you some more toughness to start your fight with, which is a very interesting way to start the fight. And then finally, we do have Obsidian Flesh, which is perfect for rezzing people, as you can go immune for a bit and just res your teammate up. You will start to lose cap of the point, I believe, but it is very handy for rezzing people. So back to our utilities. We have Signet of Restoration. You could really run any heal you want. Perhaps Arcane Brilliance is pretty good for a bit more burn duration. Maybe more Condi Cleanse would be good. The biggest loss of not having Tempest is not having their heal, because that's one of my favorite heals, but I think this is my favorite heal to go with without it. We take Glyph of Elemental Power, as we discussed before, Arcane Power, and Signet of Fire. These are pretty much the most damaging utilities you can have. The only way I'd switch it out is if you were to put out some, more survivability or CC or something like that. And if you were to switch one out, I'd either switch out Signet of Fire or Glyph of Elemental Power. I'd keep Arcane Power just for the big burst in team fights. And then finally, we talk about our ultimates here. I mean, either it's going to be Glyph of Elements or Conjure Fiery Greatsword. You do get a bit of burning on Fiery Greatsword, which is pretty nice. However, you are pretty much just bound to using that weapon, and it's kind of difficult. I find the Glyph of Elementals gives you a bit more ability to run by yourself, especially as you can apply Arcane Power to the element, and that really allows you to do a lot more damage by yourself. And that's really the build. I guess we'll do one more quick burst since, I don't know, it's fun to show off. And this way we can show it off without having a gameplay in this video. And I'll upload some gameplay videos to the channel as soon as I can. So probably once you guys are watching this, actually, you'll be able to go and see some gameplay footage of this build. I'll link it into the video at the end. All right, so we've put down our little stones around us. We're going to summon our elemental. And we're going to give him some burning. All right, and we're gonna just light this guy up. So what I like to start with is I like to put the tooth above them, get to use this, and then just give it to him. So we're already at, oh, see, we actually burned some of the AoE people over there, which is going to take a bit of our burning duration down, but we just do a ton of damage for the ability of our team. Like if we had all of our teammates, we would like just destroy this golem. So, and this is the sort of stealth attacking I was talking about. So if you're over here, like, I don't know, say you're just around the center, you can have one person targeted and you can do a lot of like ranged damage to them without them really seeing you. So right now, like, you wouldn't know as that person really where the damage is coming unless you could actually see the Elementalist. And we'll even pop a few of our other things here and we can spike up in damage while being far away. We're doing upwards of 6k right now, 7k almost, from being distanced like that. And that's the build, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave comments on any questions you have about the build, and leave a like if you do like the build, because it does help with the channel. Like I said, I'll try and post some gameplay footage of this build, show you how to use it and how I've been using it. I've been having a lot of fun with it, so if you want to try something new on your Elementalist, I would highly recommend it. Till next time, though, have a good day and enjoy playing your Elementalist.